A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Very good morning, Nagulan, Varsha. Very good morning, Lian. Welcome to today's Hindu news analysis with me. So, I'm Soumya, and like every day, you and I will together look at the Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition. And today is 10th October 25, so let's quickly see which important UPSC relevant news articles do we have to cover. And here, if you see on the screen, I have about 9 articles for you today, but nothing to worry. Even among these 9 articles, it is only the first 3 articles that are lengthy, okay? Because most of them are editorial page 10. Apart from that, all the other news articles are brief. They are mostly prelims relevant. So let us look what is happening around the world today and how shall we use all these inputs for the UPSC exam. Very good morning, dear Reshma. The first article of the day is page 10, that's your editorial page. And it is about the mental health, psychological well being, a very misunderstood issue in India for a long time. There is a social stigma to mental health problems. We understand that as a part of today's society, that despite the Viksit Bharat mission, despite the fact that today we are the top 3 economies of the world, society has modernized. Yes, we are evolving as a culture. At the same time, mental health problems in India are still not really seen with dignity. They have a lot of stigma and shame associated to them. And that's why this article here talks about how can we make India's mental health care more inclusive? How can we remove the stigma on it? And since the victims of mental problems are children, teenagers, as well as young women and men, plus the geriatric old population, there is something we need to do about it. Otherwise, once again, the same thing. We will end up wasting our human resource potential. Then there is no point, no benefit in being the youngest country. There is no point in being the most populated country if more than 30% people face mental health problems. So that's the article all about. Yes, it is page number 10 and it is GS paper 2, social problems, vulnerable communities, people with mental disabilities, plus generalized mental health disorders. Let's have a look at that and then we proceed with the other articles of the day. Very good morning, my dear Deepesh, Vikash, Mayank, Shubham. So happy to see each one of you, my dear. So, the first article is India's mental health crisis getting addressed by the government, or is it still continuing without any logical solution? Very good morning, my dear Rajneesh. Well, the article begins by a very emotional note, actually. It says that recently in Sharjahapur in Uttar Pradesh, there was a very tragic incident. I think you must have heard about it in the news. A young couple who had a lot of loan on them, they were experiencing debt crisis. They ended up committing suicide. What was worse was that not only did they end their lives, but they also killed their infant, their baby. Entire family committed suicide. Why did this happen? Because they were extremely stressed. They were depressed. They had a lot of loan to pay. And because of that, they used to experience helplessness. Ultimately, that landed in suicide. But then this is not a standalone situation. If you talk about Kota, Kota is a very important nerve center for various coaching institutes in India and Rajasthan. You will realize how every year frequent suicide episodes keep happening. Young students preparing for MBBS, for medical exam, for IIT JEE, for UPSC. Many such students also helplessly take away their lives. Plus, the data by NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau, from 2023 also said that it is housewives, young women from the age of 25 to 40, who are one of the highest segments who commit suicide every year. They experience unrecognized depression. So, my question is, who is safe? If the students, the working population, the homemakers, everybody is experiencing a high grade mental health problem, then which segment in India is completely safe? Is it not a public problem? It is a public problem, yes. It also means mental distress or mental problem is no longer limited to only farmers. 10 years before, we used to realize that farmers commit a lot of suicide in India because of poor agriculture output, bad rainfall season, high amount of loans. That was very common. Today, also, Karnataka, Maharashtra lead in case of farmer suicides. But today, it is not only our farmers who are committing suicide because of agriculture distress, it is in fact urban population that is equally associated with high suicide rates. Today, it is not a problem that you can associate with one segment of society. Today, it is a problem that has become pan Indian. It is existing across village and city. It is happening with farmers, with corporate professionals, with teachers, government employees, students, and homemakers alike. There are various categories of people who are being victimized, who are suffering with mental health problems, ranging from clinical depression, acute stress, generalized anxiety disorder, internet addiction, substance abuse, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, suicidal tendencies, postpartum depression. All these are becoming extremely common. They are not medical words anymore. They are words we hear routinely in our daily life. Why is India experiencing a national mental health emergency? That's the question. According to a recent data released by National Crime Records Bureau and the World Health Organization, in India we saw 1,71,418 cases of suicide. This is the data that is related with the year 2023. This is a very high rate of suicide. And as you talk about 2025, 2 years later, although overall rate of suicide has increased by 0.3%, which is marginal, but suicide reporting, the cases of suicide that are getting reported with the police, with the authorities, has also reduced. Plus, the population has increased so much in the last 2 years that the total increase in population is overpacing. It is increasing the rate of mental health problems. Hence, many cases are going unreported, unrecognized. Which areas in India have the highest suicide rate? The highest rate of suicides today are associated with places like Andaman and Nicobar Island, Sikkim and Kerala, as these states have shown highest rate of suicide. It is Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, West Bengal that have shown the highest numbers of suicide. Okay, so the highest rate is associated with Andaman, Sikkim, Kerala, while the highest numbers are being reported from Karnataka, Maharashtra, West Bengal, as well as Tamil Nadu. Overall, it shows that across India, various states and union territories are all battling with a severe mental health crisis. Why is it happening? And is there something we can do to solve the problem? Let's further discuss upon that. Very good morning, dear Kojumba. Very good morning, Gayatri. So happy to see you. Okay. Now, looking at the overall nature of suicide tendency, it is witnessed that cities are experiencing a higher rate of suicide as compared to rural areas. So, why is urban India having a higher rate of suicide in general? That's because urban Indian residents are experiencing isolation, a breakdown of social family fragmentation is a leading cause. Added to this is the very, very huge burden of making more money. So, commercialization, apart from commercialization, it is financial stress that is contributing to a higher grade suicide in urban India. For example, if you talk between men and women, also, if you look at it from a gender perspective, then it is men. It is men where we are seeing about 72.8% of suicide rate. This is much higher than women, partially owing to financial stress, job stress. It could be because of economic burden, competitive life of urban cities. It is also because of substance abuse, alcoholism. All these things are relating to higher rate of suicide in urban India. Then if you look at women, Although men have a higher rate of registered suicide and depressions, women sometimes are suffering because they are being forced to do unpaid domestic labor. Too much high burden of domestic labor. It could be domestic abuse. Another reason could be dual burden, job plus family management. Besides, all the cases of women mental health problems go severely underreported in India. In India, women experiencing a mental health is often seen as stigma or shame. So, therefore, women problems aren't reported exactly. Although, even among the homemakers, the housewife segment, the rate of suicide is quite high in India. The next segment that is witnessing a high suicide rate, of course, is farmers. We all understand how agricultural productivity in India has declined in the last few years. You can blame it to commercialization, you can blame it to mechanization, because Indian agriculture is primarily rooted in climate, and still we have not developed a climate resilient agriculture. Besides, today in agriculture, we are seeing a very high amount of female labor participation. All these things show that agriculture is not generating enough income for people, leading to crop losses, crop failures, high amount of loans. All this comes on the farmer, and therefore farmer suicide rate is very, very high, with Maharashtra, Karnataka showing the highest amount of farmer suicides. And all India, if you see, then the total number of farmer suicides are 6.3% of all the suicides that have been committed across the country. Now, alongside this, in 2023 itself, just in 1 year, there were about 10,786 cases of farmer suicides that were reported from across the country. That's a very high rate. Now, if you talk about mental illness among young women, then sometimes marriage pressures, the pressure of maternity, having children, experiencing inability to have a child, dowry demands, lack of recognition of their emotions are often leading to mental health and suicidal crisis among them. Very good morning, Prakash dear. Now, overall, if you see the number of Indians who suffer from mental health disorders, you will be shocked to know it is 230 million Indians who are suffering from some or the other kind of a mental health problem. And this data has been given by NIMHANS, one of the most celebrated mental health institutes in Karnataka. So 230 million Indians are victims of depression or mental health problem. The worst thing is that out of this 230 million, 70 to 92% people have never received any kind of professional help for their mental problem. No professional help, no medication, no counseling, no psychometric test, no diagnosis. Nothing has been done. Plus, there is a lack of family support and social understanding towards mental health. Okay, so this is one thing we should understand. Now, talking about the WHO mandate, World Health Organization says we should have at least one psychiatrist to take care of 1 lakh people, even in underdeveloped countries. But in India, we have less than that. We have about 0.75 for 1 lakh people, which means doctors are not sufficient to cater to the population. And then apart from that, the problem in India is that 16.3% people have zero idea about why they committed suicide in the first place. Their mental health was so complicated that they did not even know exactly how to seek help and whom to approach. Besides, in India, we also have, as you mentioned one day in the discussion, I think some students had mentioned when we were talking about primary health problem in India, that the doctor-patient ratio is very less. So here also, psychiatrist-patient ratio is very low. WHO says you should have at least 1 to 2 doctors per 1 lakh. India has 0.75. Not even one doctor is there for 1 lakh people in mental health. How low that is, you can imagine. Besides, there is no counseling, no awareness, no psychologists in schools and colleges, no psychologists in hospitals to take care of women who are delivering a child or people who are battling with chronic health problems. No help available. Now, rupees 270 crore, and that's a huge money. Yes, Anil, absolutely correct. It's 0.75 almost doctors available for 1 lakh people in India, not even one psychiatrist. Now 270, very good morning Anuj. So 270, about 270 crore rupees has been spent under the Mental Health Care Act 2024 to 2025, but the money has been underutilized. Then the government had also introduced a Mano Darpan. I think you have heard about Mano Darpan. If not, please remember for GS paper 2. Mental health problem among children and students. Indian government had introduced the Mano Darpan scheme. The purpose was to allow and enable counselors at the school level so that school students keep getting career counseling, mental well-being counseling, depression counseling. But in reality, it is barely implemented. Most of the government and aided schools have no counselor, no psychiatrist. Very few private unaided schools provide counselor, and there too it's one counselor for the whole school. So the problem is very, very misunderstood. In majority of states, Mano Darpan was not even launched, by the way. Now, if you talk about the Mental Health Care Act 2017, I don't know how many of you remember that, but I have repeated multiple times before in the Hindu, that Mental Health Care Act 2017 is revolutionary in India. It is considered a health revolution for the country. Why like that? If you remember, I had told you once that Mental Health Care Act 2017 had done something revolutionary. It had decriminalized Section 115, Section 115 of the IPC, Indian Penal Code. And what was Section 115? Section 115 of IPC spoke about suicide. It made suicide a crime. The attempt to suicide was considered criminal. This act is a very, very sensitive act. It is a very pro-people act, very good Dipesh, absolutely. Because this act, Mental Health Care Act 2017, you get direct questions on this in GS paper 2. Direct questions. You might get another similar question in 2026. Why is the Mental Health Care Act in India a revolution for the healthcare sector? It is a revolution because for the first time the government understood and told people that attempt to suicide is not a crime. It is a medical problem. And therefore, Section 115 of IPC was decriminalized. Now, attempt to suicide is not a crime. It is a mental problem. And hence, it needs treatment. It doesn't need you to be imprisoned for that. At the same time, India also launched National Suicide Prevention Strategy 2022. What was the purpose of the strategy? The purpose of the strategy was to reduce the total rate of suicides in India by 10% by 2030. So by 2030, overall case of suicides have to be reduced by 10% by creating awareness among people and by also involving more NGOs, more self-help groups, more government hospitals in a drive towards mental health awareness. But still, the problem is many Indians depend on Chat GPT and Google when it comes to mental health. We have already seen stories from Japan and South Korea where people, out of frustration and loneliness, have started even marrying AI chatbots. In Japan, something more crazy is happening. People actually take family members on rent. Have you heard that? Has anybody heard that? I used to talk to my classroom students when I teach social issues. Yeah, you remember that? How in Japan and South Korea, people are actually renting family members now to celebrate festivals because they are so lonely. There is a declining fertility rate and there is massive rise of old age population. There is hardly any presence of joint or extended family now. People are very lonely. Ultimately, they marry chat GPTs. They are spending all their time chatting with AI chatbots. And they also treat AI chatbots like doctors. They do self-treatment. Because there is a lack of understanding that yes, mental health is a physiological problem. It's a part of your body. It is not psychological. It is not psychosomatic. It is very real. So that is the awareness that people don't have. Untreated mental illness will automatically lead to suicide. And if a mental problem is not taken care, if it's not getting cured, what is the result? The result is that in India, we are using $1 trillion of GDP. $1 trillion from our GDP we are losing by 2030 as per report by World Health Organization, that if India doesn't treat its mental health problems, then Indian loss is $1 trillion out of GDP by 2030, because people will commit suicide if they are not treated. Rupees 1.1 lakh crore gets lost in the corporate sector because corporate workers are burnt out. They are tired. They have computer exhaustion. They have absenteeism. They are leaving their jobs. There is a high rate of attrition. So what's the solution here? The solution is that, as per the World Health Organization's recommendation, let Indian government strongly implement the policy, a policy where we have at least 3 to 5 mental health experts. It could be doctors, counselors, psychologists, NGO workers, nurses, or paramedical staff per 1 lakh population. That is the need of the hour. Mandatory implementation of Mano Darpan scheme to provide counseling at school and college level. At the same time, let us also create a national mental health commission, a separate commission which will coordinate and report the number of suicides, depressions, the number of people who are using helpline to reach out to the doctor. Medical health camps can be created to improve mental health awareness. All these are preventive steps towards protecting our human resource, saving $1 trillion from GDP by 2030 that's wasted in suicides. Ultimately, constitutionally, it boils down to Article 21. Every citizen has a right to life and liberty, dignity. That's Article 21 of the Constitution. It is right to life. And if you want to promote the right to life, we have to promote mental well being. That's the article all about. Okay? Yes, absolutely, Dipesh. Then there are SAHA guidelines also. I so agree. There are. Yes, people are marrying enemies and chatbots. And this is really very, very strange behavior. Yes, it will be good. It will be good, Shubham. Ultimately, it is a general studies news. It's a GK current affairs news, so it will definitely help you. Because for all the public's exams, the backbone is ultimately current affairs. The only difference with UPSC is that for UPSC, you need to also train yourself for writing answers. That's why I say whatever points we are learning in these articles, you don't have to forget them. If you forget them, note them down somewhere. Otherwise, you can download the PDF also and keep marking them. But that will become too much by the end of the year. So create a separate folder, pick out all the points you like, you want to write in your answers, and make your answers data rich. Write data. Use NCRB reports. Use all these data that we just spoke about. That makes your answer a quality answer. Okay. NIMHANS also. Yes. Yes, Disha. The data given by NIMHANS. 230 million Indians suffer from mental disorder right now. This is very valid data. Okay, Vikash has already answered. Let me be quick now. With reference to mental health and suicide prevention in India, look at the following statements. One, Dipesh has also answered. Great. According to National Crime Records Bureau, accidental deaths and suicide in India 2023, more than 70% of suicide victims are men. 2. The National Suicide Prevention Strategy 22 aims to reduce suicide deaths by 10% by 2030. And 3. Under Mental Health Care Act 2017, every individual in India has a right to mental health care financed, provided by the government. Anuj has answered, Reshma, Rajni, Shubham, and then of course Vikash and Dipesh have answered, and everybody says it's D. And absolutely it is D. Yes, Dishank, it is D, my dear. Very well done. Remember this data always. Very important for you. Now there is one more request I have. For all those of you who are writing the exam either in 26 or in 2027, create a separate folder. If you use a register, do that. Do this as a special tribute to me. You will thank me later on. Create a register, create a folder in your mobile phone, laptop, wherever you want. Create a chart paper and stick it in your room. Write the topic 2030 deadline and then make a comprehensive page that by 2030, what all do we have to achieve? Majority of our national goals, whether it's defense, whether it's climate, whether it's suicide, whether it's women participation in labor force, whether it is space technology, AI, majority of the targets are ending in 2030. Make a list of that. That is the data that will help you in writing the answers. It will give you an exact picture of what goals have India created across various sectors. Plus, two more things you need to remember always. By 2047, we are becoming Viksit Bharat. By 2070, we are becoming carbon neutral. These some data should be there in your mind all the time, on your fingertips. That helps in answer writing. So please do that, okay, immediately. Well answered there, everyone. Yes, it is D, then that's the valid answer. All statements were correct. Now, the next article is also editorial page. Listen carefully, my dear. This is GS paper 3. Wildlife protection. Protection of endangered, vulnerable animals. Okay, that is what it talks about. It also talks about another very important issue. What is that issue? Human animal conflict in India. Human animal conflict. You must have seen, if anybody of you has gone to a national park, bird sanctuary, even in fact, even if you have visited a zoo, a nearby park, you might have seen at every step we experience human animal conflict. If you talk about cities, there are cases of dog bites, rabies, monkey attacks, snake bites. If you look at villages and farms, you will often see that elephants are coming and damaging the crops. You will see villagers were the ones who went and killed an elephant. These news are so common. It all highlights a failure. It's not animals' problem. It is not a problem of human behavior either. It is a very, very systematic ecological problem and the failure of urbanization. A lot of people say animals come and they disturb human life. It is the other way. Humans have made roads inside animal habitat. Where should animals go? Long back, there used to be rich forest, thick forest, beautiful forest in Indonesia and Malaysia. These forests were home to unique species called orangutans. You must have seen the photos of orangutans. They are the monkey ape species. Orangutan population was flooding these forests of Indonesia, Malaysia. But from 1990s, the world developed a new craze. The new craze is towards palm oil. Palm oil today is the basic ingredient in all processed and packaged foods. Why? Because it is very cheap. And Indonesia and Malaysia, they supply 95% of palm oil across the world. Where does this oil come from? It comes from the forests of Indonesia, Malaysia. To extract that palm oil, forests were cut, erased. Orangutan habitat was damaged. Today, the same orangutan population that used to overcrowd these forests is experiencing danger, threat, vulnerability. It is not animals who come and trouble us, it is we, for commercialization, who venture and then forcefully intrude into animal territory, forcing them either to go extinct, or forcing them to attack us. And once they attack us, we blame them back. We call them wild. Now, who is wild here? Human ambition or animal? That is a very ethical question that comes at this point. A good case study for ethics also. This article therefore raises a question about Kerala. Kerala is a state which has a very unique landscape. Kerala has lush forest. Kerala has massive farmlands. Kerala has a huge human settlement near the farmlands. There is hardly a buffer zone available between animals and humans. And therefore, such cases of animal human conflict, elephants, wild boars, macaws, all these keep and they come in conflict with humans. They damage the crops. They cause human deaths also in Kerala's dense populated rural areas. And that's the pitch of this article here. GS paper 3, protecting wildlife, mitigating human animal conflict. So, what is human animal conflict? Now, it all goes back to the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The purpose of this act was to create separate schedules. And animals are listed in the act based on the number of their species. How many of them need protection? How many of them cannot be killed? It is prohibited to kill them, like Schedule 1 animals. You cannot kill them at all. Yes, absolutely. Kojamba. It is evil towards nature. It is a crime against nature. Absolutely. And the government only says that right to a clean environment is also Article 21, right to life. Then how can we take this issue lightly in the first place? So now the issue here is that the government of Kerala, the Kerala government has introduced a new amendment. Amendment to Amendment to the existing Wildlife Protection Act 1972. This new amendment will be called as Wildlife Protection Kerala Amendment 2025. But what is the amendment all about? The amendment is to change the nature of Wildlife Act in such a way that some animals will now be declared as vermins, as Anuj said. Some animals will now be declared as vermins by the state government itself without taking the permission of the central government. What are vermins? Now, vermins are pests. They are animals that can be killed legally without any penalty, without any punishment. You can kill them because they are considered dangerous for human life. So, under the new Amendment Act of Kerala, Kerala will now amend its Wildlife Act and enact a new policy under it in which the state government shall have the right to declare an animal as a vermin if that animal is dangerous towards humans or it is causing crop loss, farmland loss. The reason is that Kerala state government is frustrated with the center now. Although in India, wildlife protection is a concurrent subject. It is a concurrent subject, it comes under concurrent list, schedule 7th of the constitution. Both the state government and the central government can create laws on wildlife protection. So it comes under concurrent list. But there is a problem here. Despite this being under concurrent list, entry 17B of the concurrent list under schedule 7, the problem is that central government will always have a control over state laws. Under Article 254, despite wildlife protection being a concurrent subject, can be enacted by both center and the state. And entry 17B of the concurrent list, 7th schedule of the constitution. But still the central government will have the power over a law that's passed by the state government. And that is the problem today. The state of Kerala is experiencing a disappointment with the central government. Kerala wants to have the power to declare animals as vermins, as dangerous pests. But this power right now doesn't belong to the state government at all. It is only the central government under the existing wildlife laws in India which has the power to declare an animal as vermin under Section 62 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So do you see the conflict here? What are the key issues? Kerala is experiencing a high rate of human-animal conflict. Wild elephants, wild boars, bonnet macaws, they keep attacking the farms and animals and humans. Kerala government wants to now create an amendment to Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Why? Because although right now wildlife protection is a concurrent subject, both center and states can make laws, which schedule 7th of the constitution. Wildlife protection comes under entry 17B, concurrent list. But the central government under Article 254 has a stronger role to play. And in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, there is a section 62. Under this, only the central government can declare an animal as a vermin, as a pest which is dangerous to humans, and hence it can be killed without any punishment. So Kerala wants now the power to declare an animal as vermin. Kerala wants it to be given to the state government of Kerala because it is tired of complaining to the center and center is not responding at all. And Kerala has a dense forest, a dense rural landscape. There is no buffer between animals and humans. Every day there is an attack. Every day there is a death, either of an elephant species or of human families, domestic animals, or crop destruction. So Kerala wants a change in Section 62 of Wildlife Act. Why should the central government only declare the animal as vermin? Why can't state do that? Because it is causing a conflict between state and center laws. So this amendment bill will now allow the state government of Kerala to declare an animal as vermin if the Kerala government feels like that. And hence, once the Kerala government can declare an animal as vermin, it can kill. People here can kill the wild boar, the wild pig, the wild boar that is presently under Schedule 2 of the Wildlife Act. It cannot be killed currently. But once the amendment law is passed and it is declared a vermin, it will be killed in case it is causing crop destruction or human deaths. So now there is no need to consult the center. Chief Wildlife Warden of Kerala will have the power to order capturing, tranquilization, or killing or translocation of these wild boars as and when the need arises. Because Kerala has a unique geography, rich forests, plantations, village communities, no buffer zone between animals and humans. So Kerala government doesn't want to depend on center anymore. It says the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 is a central law. It only favors central government's policy. If a state is trying to go against that, the center refuses under Article 254. And we cannot tolerate that anymore. It is causing a loss to our economy, our people. We cannot tolerate that. So therefore, today they have strongly passed this amendment, 2025 Amendment to Wildlife Protection Act 1972, saying that Section 62 of Wildlife Protection Act will be repealed. It will be changed. Not only the center, the state will also have the power to declare an animal as a vermin, a dangerous pest, and therefore it can be killed, translocated, captured, drugged, whatever the state government feels appropriate, whichever the chief wildlife warden feels appropriate, to protect Kerala's crops and humans from repeated attacks by wildlife boars and elephants and the macus. So that's the law right now. But it is causing a controversy. Why is it causing a controversy? Because some wildlife experts and environmental supporters are saying that this law may be misused to normalize killing. What if people start killing the wild boars and elephants without really them causing so much destruction? What if killing or tranquilizing or translocating becomes a normal law? Will this not go against the spirit of Section 62 of the Wildlife Act? It will. Second thing is, it will promote arbitrary killing as an individual revenge case for food, for hunting purposes, and nobody will be answerable. Is there a solution? Solution is there. Rather than interpreting this situation as a conflict between state and the center, we can interpret this as a problem that needs more local representation. We need to involve local communities, farmer families into the problem. The forest dwelling communities can give a very successful solution here. What can the government do? The government can also create apps, like the government has created an app in many other national parks, which are now exactly able to track the movement of animals. Very recently, in one of my current affairs videos, I had spoken about the Gaj Rakshak app. Do you remember? Bandhavgarh National Park. Does anybody remember here? Bandhavgarh National Park. I had made a video on the Gaj Rakshak app, elephant protection application. It's an AI-based application being installed in Bandhavgarh and many other wildlife sanctuaries in Madhya Pradesh. The purpose is to track the number of animals in the national park, to track their movement. And as soon as they step out of the wildlife zone and they start going into human habitation, immediately people come and control the situation. This doesn't involve any killing, any tranquilizing, or any translocation. Plus, it is protecting the life of people as well as these innocent animals. They are very good. They are very sensitive applications that work on the basis of smart mobiles and internet applications. So such initiatives are much better than amending the nature of Wildlife Protection Act itself, which could normalize killings in the long run. Okay, so that's the pitch of this article here. Ultimately, the purpose is to control the larger problem of human-animal conflict. Very good morning, Balram. Question. With reference to Wildlife Protection Act 1972, look at the following statements. 1. The bill empowers, okay, we are talking about the Wildlife Protection Act Kerala Amendment Bill 2025. 1. It empowers the state government of Kerala to declare any Schedule 2 animal which is otherwise protected, but now It can be declared as a vermin for specific areas and for specific time without taking approval of the central government. Two, the wildlife protection comes under the state list of the seventh schedule of the Constitution. And three, any state law that is inconsistent, that doesn't match with the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 requires presidential approval under Article 254 of the Constitution. Oh, very well answered. Vikash, Dipesh, Varsha, Johan, Reshma, Dishank. Very well answered. Absolutely, the second statement is invalid. That's what we spoke about also. That wildlife protection is a concurrent subject to be enacted by both central and the state government under 7th schedule. It is not a state subject. So B is not valid. Absolutely, the answer here is C. While 1 and 3rd statements are correct. Because Wildlife Protection Act is regulated by the central government, if you want to pass a law that goes against that, just like Kerala is doing today, by reinterpreting section 62 of the Act, which will now allow the state government of Kerala to also declare an animal, a Schedule 2 animal, as a vermin. Definitely it will need a parliamentary approval. So 1 and C are correct. Very well done. Rajneesh, Balram, Kujampa. Well answered, my dear. Absolutely correct. Now the next article is a short article, and the article is about, for the last 1 week, what are we discussing? What did I say yesterday? That this will come next year in the mains. It will come in prelims also. India-UK relationship. For 2-3 reasons. One, India and UK have recently signed a free trade agreement with each other. Two, India and UK have signed 10-year roadmap. India-UK Vision 2035. Three, both India and UK are working towards protecting the Indo-Pacific region from China's aggression. For the first time, India and UK have moved towards, yes, Vikash, and what did I say it means? Yes, Johan, what does it mean? I told you yesterday about a word, deep integration. In globalization, you have two kinds of integrations, shallow and deep. If you are signing a free trade agreement with a country, it becomes shallow integration. It is only at the level of trade. But if you are signing an agreement with a country for trade also, defense also, space technology, AI, pharmaceutical, culture, human to human movement, naval exercises and all of that, it becomes a very good Vikash, deep integration. Because it is much more than an economic relationship. So for the first time, India and UK today, as you are saying there, yes, CETA, Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement. India and UK, as they are signing this, including a free trade agreement in 2025, including a roadmap for a future relationship, a 10-year roadmap that is Vision 2035 India-UK, it is a deep integration. Very good, Balram. It is a deep integration. Absolutely, Vikash. Very well said. And like we spoke yesterday, a purpose of deep integration is also, apart from exchanging and trading in all these areas, it is to create same standards of environment and health. That is called standard harmonization. Very good, Vikash. Standard harmonization. That's also something both the countries are working towards. Yes, Balram, it's deep integration. Yes, Reshma, absolutely. Because of this, we are doing exercise Indradhanush, Air Force, exercise Ajay Warrior, military, exercise, somebody said Konkan. Yes, yes, Vikash, exercise Konkan, naval exercise in the Konkan coast of India. Very well said. Absolutely, everybody. So that's India-UK relationship. It's in the news. Today, why is it in the headline? It is in the headlines. It's a front page news, page number 1. India signs a 3,500 crore rupees deal with United Kingdom to buy a special class of missiles. That's why it is in the news. So one more step towards defense partnership between both the countries. Yes, Dishank, exercise Konkan. Dishank is also answering a question. It can cause a cultural conflict also. Yes, Dishank. That is why, my dear, it's a conflicting, it's a very controversial amendment bill. Because it might allow discretionary killings. Very well pointed out. It is an ethical concern. I so agree. So, what is exactly in the news here? The news says that today India UK, as a part of CETA, as a part of FTA, as a part of India UK Vision 2035, has also signed a rupees 3,000 crore defense deal. It is a strategic partnership for what? To supply LMM. And what is LMM? Lightweight multi-role missiles. These will be supplied from UK to Indian Army. So what are LMM? These are lightweight multi-role missiles. And where will they come from? They will come from UK to India. That is what the 3,600 crore rupees deal is all about. Besides, India will also receive electric powered naval propulsion system. Another 250 million pounds have been spent on that. Electric powered naval propulsion systems across both air defense, naval defense. Two parallel deals have been signed once again with the UK. Now, these will be provided to India to improve India's own warfare and defense modernization needs. Both the countries have signed a complex weapons partnership, and these deals are a part of that. Once again, it is a part of the larger plan to co-develop, to jointly produce nuclear weapons, to jointly produce nuclear technologies for being used in naval AI modernization and air defense modernization. What is the new change here? One development is that yes, India is spending 3,600 crore rupees for buying lightweight multi-role missile. Second, India is also spending additional 2,500 crore rupees in buying electric naval propulsion system. Third, earlier, UK was supplying, India was receiving. UK was supplying, India was receiving. This is a changed plan. If you remember last month, India had ordered many Rafale planes from France. Remember? Many Rafales came from France. There was a controversy between opposition and the ruling party about this. As these many Rafales came from France, the Indian government said, do not think that we are importing Rafales ready-made. Because we are becoming Atmanirbhar, India and France are trying to create such research centers in India that from French expertise, most of the parts of these Rafale planes will be manufactured within India itself. So although they are a French technology, the Rafale plane technology, but majority of its parts will be made in India itself. It will not be imported ready-made. It is absolutely Atmanirbhar. Yes? Same thing the government is saying today. Although we have ordered such expensive 3,600 crore, 2,500 crore, LMM, electronic naval propulsion system, but it is not a ready-made import. The purpose is to create a joint research and development and manufacturing sector in India so that all these equipments can be manufactured within India itself from a participation of UK defense companies, BAE, Rolls-Royce, Hull, plus India's own DRDO. So we are participating in manufacturing as well. There is no compromise of make in India. There is no compromise on Atmanirbharta towards the defense sector. So as we are taking soft power, technology, process, but we are creating manufacturing units within our country. That means additional employment opportunities. That means absolutely a consistency with India's own standards. And both the countries have also spoken about creating more joint ventures for naval ships. I told you last month, India is trying to now focus on the blue economy. From the times of the Chola Empire, India knows if you want to become a master at defense, you have to be a master at the sea. There's the reason why China is investing so much money in the naval area. Nine dash line, belt, string of pearls. China's entire strategy is based on naval strength. India needs to do that as well. Today, India realizes that Sagar Mala, what are all these? Great Nicobar project, monitoring of the Malacca Strait. All these have a purpose. India wants to improve its presence in the sea sector, in the marine sector, exercise Concon with UK, more presence in Indo-Pacific region, exercise Malabar with Quad, the deep sea mining mission. Similarly, today also, as India is trying to move towards blue economy, promoting its sea power, this announcement of strategic partnership with UK will improve India's naval ship strength because despite so much focus on the sea, in today's world, India still contributes to less than 2% of global ship manufacturing, and that has to improve. We cannot continue to import ships and vessels. We have to create them, manufacture them, and this deal will help in doing that. We will create more ships with UK assistance. All these ships will be made with green energy because it is environmentally sustainable. And Indian Navy's goal, target called Indian Navy's Green Fleet Initiative. Once again, the plan is to create a complete renewable energy based navy. India's navy with zero carbon footprint, with all technology being green, with all technology being renewable by 2030. So, one more point you can add to your 2020 bucket list. Yes, Mahasagar, absolutely. Okay, so 64 Indian companies have agreed now to invest 1.3 pounds in the British market. That's about 15,000 crore rupees. Why did they ready to invest? Are they ready to invest? Because now they are feeling confident after this partnership deal has happened. They can see profit over there. So they are ready to invest there. At the same time, it is coming in a background where United Kingdom wants to improve its economy after its exit from the from the European Union under the Brexit agreement. UK is also trying to stabilize its economy. Second, for India, it is a great step because one, India needs to find new economic trade partners after the shock given by America. Second, India wants another country where Indian talent can go and work because America doesn't seem friendly right now. $1 lakh H1B visa. America's sentiment is negative towards India right now. So India needs a country where Indian talent can go and work. That's another thing. Plus, India has an anti-China agenda in order to stabilize the Indo-Pacific and the Indian Ocean region. And UK is supporting in that. So that's why it's a win situation for both the countries. So yes, India will continue to work with UK. Apart from that, it will also work to improve ties with Australia, Japan under the Quad agreement. So that is also there, right? So for both the countries, it's a great achievement. Yes, like expanding to 200 warships by 2035, Dishank. Yes. So all that means India is now focusing more on its navy, its marine strength. A blue economy is the need of the hour. Yes, Reshma, absolutely. America's expensive gold card, America's anti immigration sentiment, all that means India needs to focus outside. And the plan with UK, whether it's about the lightweight multi role missile, whether it's about electrically powered naval propulsion system, whether it's about joint research and development centers in India, partnership between companies like Rolls Royce, Thales, DRDO, or whether you talk about the 2035 roadmap, the purpose is the same. India needs to diversify its market. Dipesh already answered, followed by Balram, Johan, and Reshma as well. Let me see. With reference to recent India UK defense and strategic partnership, look at the following statements. One, the 3,500 crore rupees deal between India and the UK involves supply of LMM for the Indian Navy. Okay. Two, both countries have agreed to collaborate on electric powered propulsion systems for Navy under an initial investment of 2,500 crore rupees. And three, the University of Lancaster and University of Surrey have registered approval to set up campuses in India to cater to rising student demand. So, according to Dipesh, according to Johan, according to Reshma, Dishank, Balaram, the answer is D. But there are few people who say it's B. Kombuja says it's D. Absolutely, it is D only. Why is it D? Because apart from the fact that yes, India has received the first two statements are correct. All these technologies from UK, but not only received, India will jointly work on that. We will also manufacture these missiles and these engines. Now, definitely there is an exchange at education level also. So, India is indeed planning to set up campus for global universities in UK like Lancaster and Surrey. Purpose is to promote more people to people ties, more cooperation in culture and education as well. Okay, so all the statements will be correct. Well answered, very well answered. Now, the next article, GS paper 2, polity and governance. Main topic, micro topic, Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India for the last 6 months has been in the news for the same thing, for the same reason. SIR. When Bihar state assembly elections were about to happen, it was realized that majority voters were not included in the list. Their names were missing from the electoral roll. Unfortunately, most of these missing people were later identified as migrant labor, women, and the tribal population. It was the vulnerable communities whose names were not included in the electoral list prepared by the Election Commission of India. One reason was that Bihar had not done any SIR. No intensive revision was done in the poll list. In the electoral voter names, there was no amendment done for last 20 years. It was long pending. In all these 20-21 years, so many people must have died. So many must have migrated. So many women must have moved out because of marriage. So many people must have come and settled in the city of the region. So many people would have taken birth and matured into adulthood. So what about the change in demography? That was not captured by the electoral voter list. And that's why in Bihar, we badly needed the SIR. We needed to revise the electoral roll list. But because it was done at the last minute, because it was done so late, the Supreme Court had no choice but to then tell the Election Commission that this time, just allow people to enter their names online. Just allow them to use Aadhaar card instead of a voter ID. But anything you do, but make sure that you revise the list. You do a special revision and include the people who are eligible to vote and still not getting the right, and remove the names of people who are no more eligible. Why are the names here? And hence the investigation was done, the revision was ready, and ultimately, finally, the Election Commission found out the valid names of those who will be giving the vote in this Lok Sabha, in this Legislative Assembly election in Bihar. But a bigger change has come. Today in India, we realize that not only Bihar, across India, we need a same kind of SIR. We need a special intensive revision for the whole country. Because everywhere the data is expired now. Everywhere there is a demography change that has happened, and we need the right people to vote. People who are eligible, not fake names, not duplicate registries, not missing registries. That is not what we need. Otherwise, we will compromise on electoral integrity of India. All of this is related to the Representation of People's Act, the RP Act 1950. In this act, there is a section 21. Which section? 21. Which section? 21. That gives the power to Election Commission of India to prepare and revise electoral rolls periodically, so that the valid names are available for people who are going to cast their vote. There are two types of revisions that can be done under SIR. One is summary revision, the other is special revision. This time what you saw in Bihar was special revision, because this time there was a situation in which completely the list was faulty. And elections were right on the head. There was no time left. So immediately, in a hurried situation, the SIR was conducted, so that inclusion takes place. Everybody gets their right to vote. This is special revision. This can happen anytime, whenever the Election Commission wants it to happen. This time there was a need, so it happened. Similarly, there is a summary revision. That is mandatory. It should be done before every general election in the country or any by-election within a constituency. It has to be done. In Bihar, it was not done for more than 20 years. Therefore, it had to be done on a special mode. But today, all India, we need this kind of SIR. Many people feel it is a political gimmick. Many people are blaming the government to deliberately first creating a mess with the electoral list and now creating a fresh SIR. And here also the opposition parties are feeling the government has a foul play. But in reality, this SIR was badly needed in Bihar. Otherwise, it would have led to enfranchisement of people. It would have led to people sacrificing their basic right to vote. Similarly, here also in this article, it is believed that across India we need special or summary revision periodically, because we cannot miss names of people who are eligible. We cannot add the names of people who have died long back, people who are not eligible anymore, or people whose names have been registered multiple number of times, duplicate entries as we call them. Plus, we need to conduct free and fair elections. These are the ground basis of our democracy. So wherever in any state like Bihar, UP, Rajasthan that have a good number of population, that are highly populated, where migration is very common, emigration is very common, you need to conduct summary revisions periodically. If you do not do it, we will have the same crisis like we happened in Bihar. Last moment, then there is too much confusion. There is too much deprivation of rights, too much protest. In the last minute, out of panic, the Supreme Court tells the Election Commission, okay, fine. If people do not have valid documents, give them an option of 21 documents. From this 21 document list, let them have any document. That includes your Aadhaar also. And just let their names be involved. So if we want in future things to be more systematic, not hurried, not emergency based, plus regular updating of records, fair participation from Indian citizens, then we need to make sure that SIRs are done periodically, not like emergency. Within the ECI, there are certain forms. There is a category of various forms related to voter registration. For example, form number 6 of ECI, Election Commission, is about new voter registration, whose name has to be added. Form 6A for non-resident Indians who are voting. Form 7, how to delete the name of a voter, somebody who has died or migrated permanently. Form number 8, to alter, amend a name that has been wrongly entered in the list. And form number 8A, to make sure that you are transposing the entry within the same constituency. So all these forms become important within ECI, and that's what the article says. That's in special intensive revision or summary intensive revision. These both are the backbones of creating a fair and transparent electoral voter base list. Now quickly the question. With reference to special intensive revision of electoral rolls in India, look at the following statements. 1. The SIR is conducted under Section 21 of the Representation of People Act 1950, which allows Election Commission to carry out revision anytime it feels it's appropriate. 2. Aadhaar has been made an optional document for verification in the intensive revision after Supreme Court's order. Form 6, 6A, 7, 8 and 8A under the registration of electors Rule 1960 deal with new voter registration, deletion of names, transposition of entries in electoral rolls. Very well answered. Absolutely, Dipesh, Vikash, Shubham, Reshma, Varsha, Balra. Absolutely all are correct. Beautiful. Very well answered. D is the valid answer. 1, 2, 3, all are correct. Yes, Vikash. In 2003, we had conducted SIR. That's correct. It's been so long now. Imagine. Okay. In Bihar, it was implemented last minute. Just the last minute. And that's why so much panic is happening. We should not let that happen in future. Very well answered, Rajneesh. It is D. Correct. Now, quickly, a news related to GS Paper 3, climate mitigation, wildlife protection, biodiversity protection. India is doing a great initiative, a milestone in ecological preservation. India has passed its own Red List survey. Just like the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the IUCN, headquartered at a place called, where in Switzerland? Which area in Switzerland is the IUCN headquartered in? Anybody knows the name? Remember the name? Okay, so IUCN is known to create a red list of various endangered, vulnerable animals and plants across the world. Today, India, on the same model, has also created its own Red List survey to check which animals and which plants are facing extinction, which animals and which plants are now next to vulnerable and which are safe. How will this help? This very scientifically based data collection, coordinated data collection, will tell us the exact status of India's flora and fauna, local Indian species of plants and animals, indigenous species of Indian flora and fauna. The larger purpose is to create another item you can add in your 2030 list. It's here. India needs to create a national red data book by 2030 in which the names of all the animals and plants will be there, to make sure that state government can create appropriate policies for conservation and protection. Absolutely, Dishank and Reshma, it is gland. Okay, too many speculations were coming. Zurich, Geneva, Bern, Basel. No, it is gland. Yes, it's a very unique name. That's where it is headquartered. Okay, so UPSC doesn't ask these micro details, but we should know. Gland in Switzerland, IUCN, the agency that creates a red list highlighting the vulnerable or safe or near extinction status of various animals and plants across the world. A very comprehensive data. India is also creating its own such data. India's red list for indigenous plants and animals. Larger goal is to create by 2030 national red data book so that we can have better protection policies in place. Okay, just add another item to your 2030 list. National Red Data Book of Flora and Fauna which are Indian. Now, one more news from the foreign page. Israel and Hamas have agreed to accept the 20-point peace plan given by President Trump. It is near Geneva. That's correct, Disha. Yes, well done. Very good morning, people. So, Israel and Hamas have agreed to accept the 20-point peace plan that has been initiated by Donald Trump, who is the chairperson or the leader of the peace board that has been created by him to create negotiation and dialogue to end the war between Israel and Palestine. I have discussed with you earlier, the 20-point program is based on an agreement that both Israel and Hamas will release each other's hostages. Hamas will leave behind its attack policy. It will go for disarmament. And Israel, on the other hand, will vacate the West Bank area. Both the countries will now try to find a solution. But there is a unique thing here. Led by President Trump, there is provision of creating West Bank into a Riviera, an international modern port, an international modern special touristic place, the Riviera. The 20-point program doesn't really speak about giving independent sovereign country to the people of Palestine. That's why it's being a matter of conflict. But today, both places, Israel as well as the Hamas group, have agreed to the plan. They both have agreed to create a ceasefire. So people, civilians are happy. For them, it's a great achievement after 2 years of intensive war following the Gaza attack, following the Hamas attack on Israel on 7th October 2023 and 2 years of constant war. It comes as a great respite to the people of the area who have now agreed to the 20-point peace plan. So today in Egypt, both the countries have agreed to sign this peace pact. Okay, now India already had endorsed it. India already said it's a good idea. We should try to create a peace pact. So now exactly how it gets implemented and whether it will have any provision in future to provide a separate nation state for Palestine is something that we are yet to see. That's why countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Syria, all of them are having doubts. So let's see what is the result. As of now, both the countries have agreed. It's looking like an international achievement. But exactly what is it about? We will come to know this week as things evolve. Now, just like Nobel Prize for Medicine, Physiology, that spoke about FOXP3 gene, fight against autoimmune diseases, TREGs, just like the Nobel Physics Prize, quantum computing, just like the Nobel Chemistry Prize, creating a material that is a mix of organic compounds and metals that can absorb pollution from climate and water. Today we have another Nobel Prize for Literature, and this has been won by a writer from Hungary named as Laszlo Kárnár-Hokai. This person has received the Nobel Prize for Literature, and he was also awarded in 2015 with the Man Booker International Prize. Now, interestingly, he is also somebody who is very clear about criticizing the government. He has been known to criticize the government of Hungary for supporting Russia and for lack of its support towards Ukrainian crisis owing to the Russia-Ukraine war. So he always criticized Hungary for not supporting Ukraine peace efforts enough. And despite the criticism of his own government, he was congratulated thoroughly by the government leaders, by the people alike for this unique achievement. Now, this well-known writer is known for his very famous books like the Satan Tango, 1985. That was one of its early books. And then The Melancholy of Resistance, 1989. So for years of contribution to literature, here comes the Nobel Prize in Literature. Okay. And yes, absolutely, Johan, as you're saying, yesterday the Nobel Prize for Chemistry was for MOF. Compounds that are a mix of metals and organic compounds. They are so porous and light that they can be used to control climate pollution. Very good. Yeah, metal organic framework, a blend of both. Correct. Very good. Last news. United Nations has decided to reduce the global peacekeeping force by 25%. Why? What a paradox. The world is seeing wars. Russia-Ukraine not ended. West Asia almost ended but not ended. You never know. There is no formal guarantee of the peace pact yet. And still, United Nations decided to reduce its global peacekeeping military force by 25%. Why? So according to United Nations, it is a compulsory move that they had to take because thousands of soldiers will now be called back. They will be asked to evacuate the places where they were protecting the sensitive territories. Why is the United Nations reducing its so many military people deployed across the country in war zones? The reason is that America, led by President Trump, has decided to reduce the contribution to it. US says my policy is America first policy. So for President Trump, his idea is America first idea. No wonder he talks of anti-immigration. He talks of tariff. Today he is also saying I will reduce the contribution in global peacekeeping. And US was the largest contributor in this. Today, with US lack of support, United Nations cannot financially support such a high level of soldiers. More than 50,000 peacekeepers deployed across the globe. They will now go back to their home countries because nobody is there to finance them. US is reducing its expenditure, America's first policy. Only spend on America's benefit. Do not spend on the benefit of the whole world. No more humanitarian effort. No more efforts towards peace or no more sympathizing. Think of America. That's the presidential bid for President Trump. So as he reduces his contribution, and he was the largest donor, America was the largest donor. So today, the 50,000 plus peacekeeping forces will be reduced. Many of them will go back to their countries. Why? Because if America doesn't spend so much, United Nations cannot support the expenditure of such a high global peacekeeping force. That's the news here. Very good morning, Abhishek. Absolutely. Okay, now with this, the quick last thing that I want to tell you before I take your leave is that I keep saying every day, if you remember, that we cannot really depend on China completely. Today, India and China are also trying to file a free trade agreement, much better bilateral relationship, more visas for each other. But always remember, China being China keeps giving us supply shocks. You know that India wants to reduce its carbon footprint by 45% of GDP by 2030. So we are investing heavily in solar energy, electronic vehicles. But what do you need to make solar energy? What do you need to make solar cells, photovoltaic cells? What do you need to make the batteries of electronic vehicles? What? Rare earth material, rare earth technology. China leads the world when it comes to rare earth material. So India depends on imports. But every time China keeps giving us supply shocks. And once again, China has done that. So China has announced more reduction in the export of rare earth materials such as a group of 17 metallic elements, including lanthanides, scandium, many more. China has one study, lithium, the most important one, lithium. Very good. Very, very good. China has announced reducing them. If it will be reduced, what happens? Countries like India who depend on these materials, rare earth materials, critical minerals, yes, Vikash, they will suffer a setback. If there is a lesser import, how do we invest in making AI chip fabrication technology? How do we invest in making photovoltaic cells? Yesterday, India said, I will expand PM Kusum Yojana, solar powered irrigation pumps to countries of Africa. All these needs rare earth material. Where will we get it from? How to make the batteries of electronic vehicles? How to make semiconductor, smartphone, laptop batteries? That's a problem. Wind turbine batteries are also based on that. So the movement towards green energy will go for a setback now as China announces this. Plus, even in the defense sector, there is a good amount of usage of rare earth material in precision guided weapons, drone manufacturing, and drone is the backbone of modern warfare. We know that. Magnets for aircraft engines. We need them and we don't have them because China dominates the world market. 70% of global mining of rare earth material happens in China. When you talk about processing of rare earth material, 90% comes from China. China is taking an advantage of its domination. It's a strategic advantage that China has, and China is very smart in doing that. So, once again, it has done that. That's for the news for today. Okay. And what has China exactly said? China says not only will I reduce the amount of these materials being exported, but across various other equipments, any other equipment, if it includes even a trace of rare earth material, smallest trace, that also will have to pass by government approval. Otherwise, it cannot be exported to any other country. China has extended export restriction towards mining, smelting, recycling, magnet making. For every process, whichever includes even a 1% of rare earth material, will now need approval and license from Chinese government. It will be finished products also, semi-finished products also. Anything that has a usage of rare earth material. So China continues to enjoy the supply. Does India have a solution? Yes. India is trying now. India recently approved 12 more materials to be mined under the rare earth material category. But still, we lack the technology. We lack the skilled labor for that. Plus, we lack environmental protocols. It is very polluting to the climate. All these things become concerns for us. So, here is the list of the answers. Okay. Absolutely, Abhishek. Yes. Yes, proton exchange membrane. Correct. For hydrogen production. That also requires rare earth material, and we as a country are right now investing too much in manufacturing of green hydrogen, green ammonia. All this is an agenda towards green energy, but what to do? Everything needs rare earth material. And mining of rare earth material is very complicated. So, therefore, China rules. Okay, that's it for today's newspaper. All right, Rihanna. All right, Shubham. Okay, now a quick reminder for the sale. As I said, if you're preparing now for 2026, next year, how much time is left? Barely any time is left. So therefore, we at StudyIQ IAS are calling you the fast track batch because there is less time. So to enable a quick preparation, to enable a fast track preparation, here's an opportunity with a price starting at now not even 8,000, not even 7,999, 7,499. You will get access to great discounts for GS Foundation courses in Hindi, English, and in English. Morning, evening, both batches available starting on 11th October, exactly tomorrow. Plus, huge discount again on optional CSAT, essay, and current affairs. So think about it, and if you're interested, use code SPLIVE on the screen and take advantage of the sale. But then, if you're preparing for 27, 28, you have more time. So this again could be a chance of enrolling in a longer term preparation strategy. Take benefit of the professional mentorship available at our platform. One is that for 2027, there is a price of only 18,999. Something similar. All courses are included across all language mediums. Again, starting 11th October. And then if you are 2028 batch, you have good time with you. So therefore, take a longer term commitment. And this is the October batch. Take your time. This is about guiding you through a mix of GS mixed with latest current affairs and all the global developments. So that's the batch all about. Price is 33,999. Still, if you think you want more clarity, please fill up a form here. It's there in the description box of the video. Once you fill it up, somebody from the backend team will get in touch with you. And regarding the PDFs, I'll once again ask the backend team if the last 1 week has not been uploaded. I will upload it. And once one student was asking, I think it was Akhtar who asked that, can I just download those PPTs? I think you can do that. That's not a problem. You can download, take screenshots, all that you can do. Okay, I'll take your leave now. Thank you so much. Yes, as Dipesh reminds us, 226 days are left. All the best. God bless you. Okay. So thank you so much, Dishank, Vikash, Johan. That's so kind of you to say that, Dipesh, Rajneesh, Naguland, Rihana, Kombuja, everybody, all of you.